I can't imagine teachers. Right.
Many social circumstances.
He just let it work. Okay. I was like, okay, yes, okay.
Yeah.
I'm for that. Good morning. Thanks everybody for being here. And it's like we were just together. So yesterday evening was great. For those online, sorry you couldn't join us, but we had a great time with the foundation board. And I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's 10:01. We have a full agenda. And I do want to confirm we have a quorum. Okay, perfect. And now I'd like to recognize any trustees that are participating remotely as required, and your reason could simply be the distance between you and us. And I'll start with Dick.
Yes, I'm about 75 miles away, if that's the question.
Yes, thank you. Kathy?
I also am exceeding the mileage, so I'm over 100 miles away.
Thank you. Dave?
Yes, I'm in Alexandria, Virginia, so I'm several hundred miles away.
And I think Catherine?
Hi, Catherine McGuire, and I am in Northern Virginia and about 250 miles away.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And I'm also pleased to welcome our two newest members of the board, and we'd love for them to just say hi and anything you'd like to share. So I'll start with Dr. John Almarow.
Hi, good morning. It's Cameron there. Yeah. John Almarow, James Madison University.
And Dr. Christine May.
Hello, I'm Christine May from the Department of Biology, also at James Madison University, and excited to be on the board.
Thank you so much. Look forward to their connections to obviously JMU and Harrisonburg, but also Augusta, Waynesboro region, particularly as we are growing our work in that area of the Commonwealth. All right, you have a copy of the May 16, 2026 minutes. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Thank you. Okay, since we last met, and first, I was rude. I did not welcome our foundation board member. Sorry, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here with us, and also being with us last night. But since May, a lot has happened. It does seem like we were just here. We have welcomed two new board members. We also, Joe and staff have been working really closely with Secretary of Education, and which has been great. And we actually have monthly meetings established. He'll give an update on that later in his report. We had a great Dino Festival. The weather was unbelievable, considering it was July. Lots of families, everyone's always excited about dinosaurs. And we had a huge, if you haven't seen it, huge T-Rex that was I mean, surely he scared somebody, I don't know. He was big and moving. He was a great addition to the festival. And I'll leave that there, but I will try to do him justice and describe how big he was, but he did not, he met all expectations that I had. So, our BM&A Twinsboro, the detailed design for that is complete, approved, and we're just continuing to work towards that, and maintaining that momentum, which will include our contacts with delegates, senators, etc. So more to come on that. Plus, November board meeting, if you will just hold, generally we meet on Saturdays, but we're asking if you'll hold that Friday as well. Staff are looking at an opportunity for us to possibly meet in Richmond if there are things that we can do and be productive, not just a meeting location change. But if there are some folks we can meet with or hear from. And so they're figuring that out over the next 2 weeks. So right now we're just holding that Friday, Saturday. And potentially meeting somewhere different with a little different purpose. So I appreciate that. And I'm glad I get to stop talking and welcome one of our newest curator, Dr. Jackson Roberts. Really pleased to have you here. He's our new assistant curator for pathology. He joined in June. And he and his family, everyone's here. We're so glad you're here. In just his first several weeks, he co-authored a paper describing a new species of snake, and your belt buckle I'm just like, it's amazing. It is like, yes, just what I would expect. Dino Festival. For those that can't see, it's
It's a literal copper head.
copper head, belt buckle. I've never seen that before. Sorry, I had to just call that out. So we're so happy to have you here and just look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. If it's okay with you all, I made just a very short presentation to kind of give you a brief of how I got here and what I want to do. And to hopefully not too many meetings from now actually have some empirical data and be able to say some exciting results. So if I can do this without step one. Oh, sorry. Anyone on Zoom? So I'm going to first, I guess, sharing this first. You can do this. He's used Zoom. It's the most pressure I've felt.
You got it.
Okay. Can everyone on Zoom see me smiling in the jars?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. As Dr. Clark said, unfortunately, you all are getting the not worst, but the least exciting member of the new Martinsville Bassett transplant list. So this is my family. So I have 2 small boys, and I'm not kidding. And I don't know how I got away with this. My oldest is Emmett Darwin Roberts, and my youngest is Milo Wallace Roberts. This is my beautiful wife Meg, and this is us in between looking for houses in January after Ben gave me a call. I think I bought tickets like the next day to come out and look. So I did my undergraduate. I'm a Tennessee native. I'm a liberal arts graduate at Rhodes College. I was mentored by very patient zoologists who listened to me say I was going to be a medical doctor like my dad, and they just politely nodded because I was only good at the animal science classes, and they waited, and finally I came around. I did my master's at Auburn University, studying these very interesting parasitic flatworms. So these are the cousins of the schistosomes that kill about 100,000, 50 to 100,000 people a year, but they infect turtles, freshwater turtles. They're the cousins. They live in the blood and in the tissues that carry blood. Then I did my PhD at LSU, the True Tigers, go Tigers. This is Dr. Chris Austin, and my PhD was focused on the evolution, biogeography, and diversity of the snakes of Papua New Guinea. So I was very lucky. I spent 2 months there, was able to describe a few species. So I'm very interested in that kind of just basic core museum science that of alpha taxonomy. But I think the more important thing that I am pushing for in my research program and bringing here is it's important to get as much data into people's hands as possible that aren't me. So this is a paper me and my very good friend Justin Bernstein co-first authored. So this is the snake we caught on our expedition, but we're now generating whole genomes beginning to end from not just the model organisms we work with in labs. So getting whole genomes from animals collected in the mountains of Papua New Guinea to be able to understand genomically how evolution occurs in even the remote or quote unquote pristine places on the planet that are untouched. But Papua New Guinea is far away from here. And I came here from Kansas, from the Sternberg Museum in Hayes, Kansas, and a project I began there. And we now have 90 whole genomes in our hands. On the eastern copperhead, it's not just my belt buckle. I love this snake. It's the snake I grew up with. It's the snake I grew up shooting with shotguns. That's what I was taught to do. It's kind of the snake that transformed the way I think and view these animals. And they're incredibly diverse. So it's all one species east of Texas right now, known as the eastern copperhead. But anyone familiar with Virginia, there are 5 biogeographic regions. And if you're here in Bassett or even in the 2/3 western portions of the state, you're going to see this moccasin morphotype. You're going to see these spots in between the Hershey kisses, as all the kids like to call them, which is hilarious because Linnaeus named this snake after a professional contortionist going backwards. That's why it's contortrix, but I don't say that in outreach events. But if you went to the coast in Virginia, very pale background, no copper in the head, and they lose these spots. There's a lot of cryptic genomic things happening in this group, and that's why we now have 90 whole genomes from across the species range. And one of those is from this snake. It's the first snake I collected with my new VDWR permits I got 2 weeks ago. This is a copperhead from Bassett, from where I live. And she's very, very beautiful snake. She's just in a place you can't really be with kids. And then does anybody know what VMNH number 00001 is in our museum catalog? It's a Bassett copperhead. And so kind of full circle, we're going to have this animal's genome. And I hope to also CT scan her and put her skeleton 3D printed in the displays so you can see just the unseen. She's more than just a snake. And of course, I've led with the best snake photo I've ever taken. This is what I really look like. So he's Goose Point Road up near Philpott. I didn't have a VMNH shirt yet. I also was thinking maybe I don't want to wear a VMNH shirt laying on the middle of the road on July 3rd, but this is a timber rattlesnake. So anybody who knows snakes in the state, one of the highest threatened tiers. And once I showed that there is there are a lot of these snakes at Philpott, I think we're going to be able to get approval from the state to start taking blood, tagging them, so insert the same things our dogs have, so you can wand them and get an ID on them. And then we won't have to just cruise the road like this guy. But with that, thank you all for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions. Me and my family are ecstatic to be here. Yeah, Henry County is a pretty awesome place. So I'm happy to share my cell phone with anybody. My email is Jackson.Roberts with the typical VMNH government handle. So contact me anytime. And with that, I will stop sharing. He did it without breaking the computer. Okay. Everything's okay. Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah.
And I'm sad you stopped sharing because no one can tell what I'm talking about now. On the other side, it's okay. So on the distribution map, there were two specific areas in the Southwest that were left uncolored? Are there,
Oh,
is there
yeah.
like a pocket of non-distribution?
Why you some Grayson counties?
Yeah, so there are two counties, and that's a really good question. So there are two counties, that distribution maps from the Virginia Herpetological Society page, which is actually Joe Mitchell's atlas that he published in 1999. It is up to date, though I do not think those are true, those are true gaps in distribution. I think it's a gap in focus. High elevation, and it's kind of interesting in Virginia, there appears to, we attribute the timber rattlesnake with loving these high mountain areas, which is true. The copperheads do great out there too. They really do. So I think it's a lack of sampling. But you found the two places I'm trying to get to quickly before they go underground in October.
Hey, my wife is right next to Wythe and Grayson County, so if you wanted to go out, walk around barefoot, just let me know.
I think that's great advice. Right.
I appreciate it.
Dear boss, please tell your loved ones, Christmas snakes for me, sign your curator. But no, it's an awesome snake, and there are a lot of them. They bite more people in the United States than any other snake, but they don't have that rattle mechanism, and they're mastered with camouflage. The lucky thing is, unless you are allergic to them, the way people are allergic to bees, 99.9% of bites don't require serious medical intervention. That being said, if you get bit, go to the hospital. But no, that's kind of me and my belt buckle in a nutshell.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
It, you know, that's just a great example of telling stories like we heard last night, and well, I know folks aren't necessarily loving snakes, but I know a lot with our reptile festivals, it's been brought up, and you know that you were taught to do that. You were taught to be afraid. And so that's one of the reasons I love when we have the reptile festival and people can come through, especially children, and understand like the real danger versus perceived and what you've been told. So thank you for
Thank you all.
telling the real story.
When I was a kid, my grandfather used to make us catch black snakes to put them in his field to keep copperheads away. Was that a myth? Or was that the way he kept us entertained? Like the bow tie is a late in life addition. Grandpa, I mean, we're talking, that's what we did. You never got rid of black snakes. You were always told, keep them around for copperheads.
That's a great question. So rat snakes, I bet there is some diet record out there. So I've noticed, so around here, a black snake in the literature, what you're going to see, it's actually very contentious in Virginia right now. It's either the eastern rat snake or the central rat snake. We are the hybrid zone between those two species, depending on who you talk to. But here in Henry County, in almost all the state, if you see a 6 to 7 foot black snake with a white chin, you're talking about a rat snake. There's probably instances of those snakes eating other snakes because snakes are tenacious. That being said, it is not their primary food source. But there is another black snake in the state, not as big. It's the king snake. And specifically in the western part of Virginia, again, those 5 geographic zones, it's like, well, this is a hybrid zone. Well, this is a hybrid zone. But the black king snake is also a big black snake, and they love copperheads. They are experts. They're immune to the venom, and they do this really amazing thing. They bite the back of the head, and they move the head of the copperhead into the bottom third of its body where it has very strong axial muscle, and it curls it, breaks it, and it leaves the other 2/3 of the snake to be able to defend itself, because snakes are most vulnerable when they eat, when they mate, and when they are going. And so if they can figure out a way to evade while doing those things, that's a successful snake. So king snakes find one eating another snake, once they get it in that death hold, they're just gonna kind of be very alert, looking around. Yeah, kind of like guarding the buffet, just like sitting there, just hanging out. But rat snakes didn't do anything to keep copperheads out. But if
Instead of stop there to die. Phone calls on the way home.
not be used to not tarnish your grandfather's legacy.
So you then in Stuart's Draft, which is like due north of here, right? But up in South, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Southern possible that you were collecting or observing this black morph of the.
That'll help me sleep a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't either. And that's why we leave black snakes alone. Well, we leave snakes alone, period, but yeah, I heard that as well. Okay. You need to call your grandfather.
Yeah, I got some business to handle.
Wow, I love learning things. Our next item, Dr. Pritchard was unable to be here. So I hate that for the folks online, but he did share, which it was specific to Petra yesterday evening. Was there anything specific you wanted to mention other than that?
Yeah, I'll just mention that for those of you online, next time you're here at the museum, or for those of you here, even on your way out, if you go straight out the corridor into the Hall of Ancient Life and you go to the paleontology windows, we have a new updated rail. So using Pete Hennica Memorial Fund funds for this year, one of the two folks that we supported was this fella Joshua, who's a local educator, but he's also a museum rat, spends spare time here, volunteers and so forth. Well, we decided to hire him for the summer because Adam has been working on Tanny Trachelos. The original fossils of Tanny Trachelos are right through these doors here on the left-hand side. Tanny is a fossil that is rare, but very abundant at the Solite Quarry 15 miles from here. So we have, I was told, something like 200 fossils. So we are the Tanny Trachelos location. Nonetheless, it's an impression that you can't extract the individual bones from the fossils. There's a counterpart to it that is the opposite of an impression, right? So they're beautiful fossils, but there's never been a 3D reconstruction. But they took the fossils to an industrial CT scanner, got modern CT scans of all the bones, and Joshua, who's an ace on the proper software, was able to lift out the individual bones and reconstruct Tanny Trachelos' skeleton in a three-dimensional way. So they then 3D printed what they've developed, and so that is on display, as well as the story that went from fossil to reconstruction. So that's kind of a cool thing. And it's cool too because, Tanny has a history with the museum going back to the 1990s. So it's kind of a legacy fossil here, and we're still learning more from the same specimens that were collected, whether they're just collected the last time we collected the Solite would have been the teens. We have a good relationship with Luckstone, who now owns the quarry, but the quarries are in the business of doing business. So there are times that we can gain access to the fossiliferous layers, and there's other times that they have to do what they do. So we haven't had access to the quarry in a while, but back around 2015, we did a massive, for 1 year, we did a massive collection of material when we had the opportunity that we brought back here. Much of it is at Douglas Avenue and has not been new in, right? I mean, there's species new to science sitting in these boxes, right? But we also know that we pulled out dozens of new Tanny Trachelos specimens. So it's a really cool fossil. It's a great legacy for the museum, and I was thrilled that Joshua was able to help us.
And Catherine, I saw your question in the chat. The November dates are Friday the 13th or Saturday the 14th. And Jennifer will follow up once we have that confirmed, either or. All right, and now I'm going to turn things over to Ambria Wood.
Good morning, everyone. For those who do not know, my name is Ambria Woods. I am the agency counsel for the museum. This is just a annual thing that all boards have to do, which is to certify your electronic meeting policy. There were no major updates to the policy. It essentially outlines the requirements for either individual remote participation in or an all virtual meeting. And so the policy remains the same, you just have to take an action item for it.
Okay. There are no questions. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
First, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you. All right, we have a consent agenda. This includes treasurer report, facilities report, and Waynesboro advocacy. And these were included in the board packet. If Will or Tom want to mention anything before we approve, welcome the opportunity for you to do that.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say a couple things. Well, the minutes of our Waynesboro Advocacy Committee meetings are in there for you to review. But I do want to recognize that we've had great help from volunteers with the trailer. And you know, the trailer is something that we inherited from the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts and we renovated using maintenance reserve funds. Since that renovation, which I think it landed on site in May sometime. That's about right. We've had 2,054 visitors go through that trailer. And we simply opened it on Saturday mornings during the farmers market and for events in town. So there isn't a lot of opportunity to see it, but we've had a lot of traffic. And in fact, our coordinator of volunteers, Mary Poulin, shared with me that not only are people coming to the farmers market, but they're actually coming to see the trailer. It's become a little bit of a destination place to visit. There are 12 volunteers that she manages. And I just want to mention some, give them some kudos for what they're doing. Not all of them were willing to be mentioned, but I want to recognize certainly Mary Poulin, Gwen Allen, Susan V, Francine Johnston, Jordan Malinkowski, Faye Cooper, and Len Poulin for their time in the trailer. And she also wrote that it's a pleasure to bring the good news to the area and be part of the team that's dreaming for this branch campus to open in Waynesboro. And they've gotten a lot of support and they've had a lot of people as a result of visiting the trailer reach out directly to our legislators and our Secretary of Education to support it. So I just want to make the full point of that. That's all I have in addition to what you've already seen regarding the Waynesboro Advocacy.
Thank you for sharing that.
I just want to thank staff for providing us a very good balanced budget at the end of the year and being creative with money we have and providing excellent reporting on time. So for that's that you can't ask me for go treasurer.
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to add to Will's report out that and I'm going to let Jonathan kind of cover some of the details here, but all that said, as you all know, this is not a mystery. Fiscal year 2026 ended just fine. We had carryover to start the new fiscal year as far as salary and so forth. We were able to pay for some expenses from this current fiscal year as we were completing 2026. So all that's great. But what we're seeing, as everybody's seeing, is expenses for everything that we do. Utilities, gasoline, supplies, even interagency services, speaking of payroll, Virginia Information Technology Agency, all of those have been bumped up, just like everybody's household bills have gone up. Same things happening here. We feel confident going through 2027, but we had a staff meeting, was this week? I think it was just this week. We are going together, not to call out emergency time or anything, but to say anything we can do to save a few dollars here and there is going to be helpful. It'll accumulate over the year. That includes using Zoom if you can use it rather than do an in-person meeting that you drive to, etc. And so we're also looking at some planned projects as far as just general upkeep of the museum, such as there's a door that we know is perfectly fine here in the museum. It's an exterior door, it is secure, but it is starting to show some signs of age, right? So we've decided to kick that one down the road, right? I can't believe we have to talk about something that's so expensive, right? They just are. And all of these things is one example of many little things that come up, and we're just talking about ways we can do. So to that end, we are putting in with the Secretary of Education a request of $300,000 bump in our annual operating appropriation. The appropriation, Jonathan, 91%. It's the fact the figure is 91% of our appropriation just goes to day-to-day salaries, utilities, well, salary and benefits, and the general upkeep. That only leaves 9%, which is fine because our foundation is doing so well. And the idea is that since we now have foundation committing endowment funds on top of annual fund contributions and specific gifts for mission-based activities, that now we're going to have this very nice match. We want to use that as leverage. Say if the foundation is going to commit to this, we feel the state should as well, particularly given certain circumstances. Do you want to provide some details on the budget?
Sure, just going back kind of the 2008, 2007 numbers, so the total appropriations are approximately what we have today. So if we were to have maintained the same level of funding throughout the years, we should be around 5.2 billion or around 3.8. So the numbers, we're just now catching up to what we had in 2008, which spurred on the request. Obviously, utilities are increasing, and Dr. Kyber covered a lot of the other items. So using the tool, this is what we see Virginia Museum of Fine Arts do. This is what we see the other Science Museum of Virginia do. That they say that their foundation is contributing to these projects, and then they would like the state to also show up on the other side of that and support the museum as well. So this first time my tenure here, we've had that tool, that asset to go after that funding. And then we've set meetings for the Secretary of Education. We're going to go over all this, and then we're excited to see where it goes from there.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer facility and Waynesboro advocacy reports? Motion. Second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Thank you. Tom, the update on the research and collections report.
Yes, I stood in for our chair this morning. Carol Nash wasn't able to attend. We did not have a quorum, but we got a lot of information out front of the committee. You heard from Jackson Roberts, Dr. Jackson Roberts, and I'm happy to welcome him to the research and collection staff. Also wanted to share that we've got some recommendations that will come to our next board meeting about our live animals policy and some research associates that will be reviewing in the interim, and we'll hope to pass that along. I also wanted to share another exciting story about some of the work that's being done here. Dr. Hayden Bassett shared with us that he's been surveying the Smith River, and they recently found a corduroy road, which, if you're not familiar with what a corduroy road is, it was, built for wagons to cross the river, and they used logs. And this is near Stanleytown. It was buried under about 8 feet of sediment in the river, but recently exposed because of runoff and river flows. And they're using dendrochronology to date the logs. But he believes that it is part of the Great Road and dates back to the 1850s, 1750s.
I think 1750s.
1750s, and was probably the road that George Washington used to cross when he was out here to survey. At that time, the frontier. They're calling it the Barksdale Ford, named after the landowner at the time. And so that's a really cool story that we'll be developing. I understand that the current landowner is very excited about allowing public access there and maybe highlighting that as a historic site. So wanted to share that with the whole board as well. Beyond that, that's pretty much it from the RNC committee, unless there are questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, our education and public programs. Chrissy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. We had a great meeting this morning. Our chair, Nathan Sanford, was not able to make the meeting today, so I'll just do a couple of brief updates from the meeting. We've reviewed our quarterly numbers, which is part of your board packet. You can see the charts for the quarter, as well as we reviewed the fiscal year numbers. So we finished the fiscal year strong with 705 programs presented, serving 12,521 participants. And so we just talked numbers a little bit and how we assess our programs. All of our programs, no matter if it is our Doodlebugs, our younger participants, our homeschool, or our SOL-based school programs, they are all evaluated. And so then that way we can then look at that data and use everything for just our knowledge and improvements, but also with grant purposes for funding. So we had a great discussion about that. We also talked about our Homeschool Science and Engineering Academy. We have had tremendous growth in this program through the years. We initially started this program back in 2010. Yes. And so we've grown tremendously. We got to the point where we were having waiting lists for our programs. So last year we expanded, basically doubling the program by adding repeat afternoon sessions, which proved very popular for our families that are traveling a good distance. We have families that drive over an hour to participate in the homeschool programming. And so this past week on Wednesday, we actually hosted our open house to kick off our new year of programming. And so we started with in-person registrations. We had a very successful event. We talked with families, even North Carolina, coming up to find out about the program and register. Online registration open on Thursday, and we are already at capacity with the majority of our programs for the year. But online registration, of course, will still stay open through the year until they fill. And so we're excited for the upcoming year.
And I want to point out, since Christy mentioned North Carolina, especially for those of you new, all of our education programs align with the Virginia Science Standards of Learning, but also with the North Carolina
Standard course of study.
Yes. So it's no surprise that they're coming up from the South.
Yes.
I'm always impressed by what you accomplish, and I feel tired. Were you?
They simultaneously ran summer camp, and it's because she has a talented crew.
Yes.
Jordan and Annabelle can both handle anything on their own. I've observed their programs stuff. We're very fortunate to have them. They just take command of a room or a group with ease. And at the same time, too, while we were doing summer camp, we had offsite programs at libraries.
That's right. Rosemary Wagner, who is based in Waynesboro, was phenomenal this summer because with summer reading theme being dinosaur paleontology related, we were traveling across the state for programs as well. And so Rosemary took on a lot of that. But yeah, and she's actually still finishing up. We had some August programs, so she's still kind of wrapping up the library programs for us. Yeah.
And just so you know, Rosemary, as well as her colleagues in Charlottesville area, if there's a school really anywhere, but mainly in that particular region of the state, they want an in-school program with inquiry-based learning. They will call the museum. Christy will schedule them, and they go out into the schools. So the schools will pay a fee for that unless we have them underwritten by a corporate partner. And the fees basically cover the transportation costs for the educator as well as their salary. So it's kind of a break even thing for us. And really the only labor on our part is Christie scheduling them. So it's been a very effective multi-decade at this point program.
Yes. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Great. We're gonna move to executive director's report.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, I'm looking at my annotated notes. When you mentioned Waynesboro, do you mind just giving like a 30-second why? I don't want to presume, we've got new folks and we've been talking about Waynesboro for years, so.
Yeah, so going back to our 2010 reaccreditation, we've had flying colors, but the site team specifically said that you guys are isolated and we don't have any advice for you, right? You know, if you have a statewide mandate, you don't know how to finish the sentence. So I started looking around at other museums, and Children's Museum of Richmond successfully started a branch program. And so we modeled our branch aspirations off of them to cover more of the state. And we also modeled our business plan after Danville Science Center. So if you want to look closely at what they do, they are size specific and staff size specific. And that's why VMH Waynesboro is 28,000 square feet. We didn't just pull it out of the air. It's big enough to be a draw because people want 3 times as much stuff to do as it took them time to get there. And it's not so big that it's a monster to run financially. So we feel that with our business plan and the international audience at the Shenandoah National Park right nearby, Route 64, Route 81, plus Charlottesville, Stanton, Harrisburg, all nearby. And we can provide you, we have all the population statistics and so forth if you're interested. Bottom line is we felt that this could also be a revenue agency overall. So that's as short as I can get.
That's right. Thank you.
Can I just highlight one thing? Because the governor just announced that $36.2 billion were brought into the state last year for tourism, I believe.
Yes.
And one of the things that was specifically called out was that the increase, a lot of the increases, or one of the places that a lot of increases happening is in Shenandoah Valley. So, you know, we think that some of the numbers that were originally generated when we were looking at putting this branch campus in place are probably low compared to what we can see today.
So everything in terms of our projections of revenues is very, very conservative, right? So I just want to point that out. Speaking of which, and getting back to what Melanie had said earlier, I wrote it down somewhere. It's in 2 weeks. We can send out the date. We have a meeting with my teams, Microsoft team, with Secretary Smith specifically regarding our capital project request that is Waynesboro, right? And we're also, of course, going to bring up our other budget requests, which include some salary adjustments. Again, just like what we did with our educators a year and a half ago, I think it was, where they were not at market rate. We want to do the same thing with some other salaries in-house. This will also include $300,000 appropriation ask, as well as our capital project. So we have that in about 2 weeks, and the day after, and we're also going to get a feel at that point. The idea is to get a feel, should we meet in Richmond? Because the idea was to meet in Richmond, do it on Friday afternoon as people are wrapping up business for the week in the Henry building where the secretary's office is, and have him and his team just come down to meet with the board, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half hour, whatever they do. So we'll get a feel for that. And that's when we'll reach out about what our decision is as far as a recommendation for when the board, when and where the board should meet in November. We also, fortunately, the very next day, there's an agency head meeting. And I will just say, and you've seen the emails, I guess, but still Dr. Kate Maxwell, who is the Assistant Secretary of Education. Her primary job is liaison to the museums, the Library of Virginia, Jamestown, Yorktown Foundation, and so forth. They've been very, very responsive. And so those are the monthly meetings that Melanie had mentioned. So we'll reach out about those. Something I could use some board help on is that, and I do recognize that just about all of you are, we've got jobs for you already. But all that said, working with one of our brand new foundation boards, one of our newest foundation board members, Melanie Gilbert, she has single-handedly developed a program called Behind the Science. And this is a very low intensity for the staff program where we will be on a monthly basis inviting roughly 25 individuals slash couples, which of course there's going to be attrition, only a certain number will be able to attend. And this will be a Thursday, one Thursday night a month going through the calendar year, where we will invite them to get a sneak peek at something special. So it could be, well, it will be, we have a few already scheduled. So the first one is going to be new discoveries from our programs in the insect lab. I'll come back to October here momentarily. In November, it's going to be Lila, who most of you met at one of our past board meetings, our relatively new exhibits manager. She's going to be providing some details on future exhibits. So she has some drawings and so forth to get out, put out there. And then in December, who did we decide on December? I'm losing it here. So we have December scheduled, but the idea is to again have. Sorry, Ben Williams, who couldn't be here today because there's a tree in front of his driveway. Ben is going to be running a panel that is going to be kind of an informal discussion on the best BMH discoveries of 2026. So the idea is to invite people from our donor and membership pool. Doesn't matter if you donate $50 or you donate $5,000, it doesn't matter. We're going to invite a group of these folks, and we would love it if at each of these we could have either foundation and or board help with this. This is just a developed relationship. Bluntly put, donors give to people, right, as well as the programs, and they've got to like you to write a check, right? And so to get to know these people a little better, some of these folks that we'll be inviting are here for everything, and they'll appreciate being invited to something very intimate like this. Other people, I have no idea who they are, right? We've never met them, right? And just think about Mr. Mariels, who left us that great gift. We had no idea who he was, right? So let's reach out and do that. So we'll send out the full schedule. Please reach out. Consider all of you invited to all of them. So we'll share those dates with you upcoming, and sometime in the fall we'll schedule out the spring as well. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to do that. So that'd be great to have you there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the strategic plan, not every point, but just some of the highlights, and I'll turn things over to Ryan for the advancement report. Douglas Avenue, we continue to make progress there. The asbestos abatement team begins Monday morning at 8:30, so we'll be there to greet them. Jonathan and Tim are already communicating with the contractor to go through HVAC planning. So while that work, the asbestos work is being done, we want to start planning out, okay, what are we going to do, with the HVAC? We already have a general idea, but we're going to need the specifics in the proposal to go to Department of Engineering and Building for approval. So that is coming along just fine. Since we have Christy and Jackson here, I have to point out that the idea in the strategic plan, objective 1.3, is connecting research and collections to contemporary needs. When you look around, there's a lot going on with the reptile and amphibian world. In fact, our aforementioned educator, Annabelle Seacrest, has been a participant in Frog Watch, which is a citizen science monitoring program for amphibians and so forth. Parallels very nicely what Jackson's doing. So we talked with Zach Ryder, who's joining us here running our Zoom. Zach, our marketing manager, is going to kind of just take what we already do and package it in a way to create the amphibian conservation team here at BMNH. And I think this is a great way to do it. And it's a great way to, it's a great way to create a gateway to science, so a lot of stuff that our scientists do can be very esoteric, right? And so people don't understand, why would you study copperheads, or why would you study insects, or, that fossil looks boring, why do you study it, right? But the idea is to package it in a way that gets people interested, and by connecting these things to things like conservation is a way to bring people into the fold. VA 250 has been a great asset for us. You know, I do remember when Secretary Gadara with the Youngkin administration said, Joe, everybody has to participate. I don't know how you guys are going to do it, right? You know, your science museum. I said, no problem. And it hasn't been. It's been awesome. So our exhibit's been well received. The story of obtaining an original of Thomas Jefferson's Notes in the State of Virginia, which is on display in the lobby, has been a hit. We've had our events. We have our last event on September 17th, Suzanne Strike, who actually, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, had a relationship with Richard Hoffman, Small World. So Richard Hoffman is a former curator here. He was elderly when I came here, but I got to know him, and he died 2011, I believe it was. But Suzanne, I've only gotten to know fairly recently, last few years. She's a friend of my life. So as it turns out, you know, everyone knows everybody in the world, I guess. And so she's coming here. She got a grant from Virginia Humanities to travel to all the areas that Thomas Jefferson wrote about and create art associated with that location. Unfortunately, she sold all the artwork, but she's going to be bringing other stuff, and she's going to give a program on that project. Free of charge here at the museum. She'll also be doing some art classes for children during the day. Let me see here. We have an interesting, thanks to the foundation, we have an interesting opportunity coming up that I'm very excited about. In objective 1.9 of our strategic plan, we're talking about the aspirational goal, the over the horizon goal of expanding this building in some capacity. And if you ask me where we should put it, I have no idea, right? You know, I mean, I'm not an architect. Architects look at the world differently than normal people do. And as such, one of our foundation board members, Mark Holland, said, I want you to talk to this colleague of mine, Catherine Harris, out of Colorado. She has advised many different museums that have expanded or built from scratch. And so that includes their exhibits, it includes their programming, it includes the purposes and design of the building. And so Ryan and I have had some preliminary conversations with her, and she wants to help out with their Young Explorers Center, right? So we've set things up, and I think this is a great opportunity because Lila, our exhibits manager, is single-handedly developing the Young Explorers Center. She's developed a budget. She has a number of elements determined that she thinks would work well. We're running these ideas by various parents to get their input and so forth. But for Lila to have somebody who's not her supervisor to talk to, I think will be very beneficial, especially somebody who's been around the block, right? So she'll be providing, she said she'll have it to us Monday. She's going to provide a proposal on the scope of work and costs, and we'll be evaluating that after we receive it. So we're kind of progressing along very well there. Everything looks good with the budget as far as Young Explorers Center, as well as moving forward with the Petra exhibit, which last night was dedicated to displaying. Well, I'm sorry, the future display of Petra, and Melanie, thank you for taking the leadership role in we got some very nice contributions last night from the foundation board and the board of trustees, and you know, I think that was a great kind of bit of teamwork, everyone working together, and so the timeline is Young Explorer Center will open to the public in summer 2027. The specific date will become clearer as we move forward, and then maybe a couple of months thereafter, we'll open up Petra, the Petra Gallery, and we will be working closely with the Virginia Cave Conservancy personnel to create complementary exhibit displays that will cover other aspects of cave biology and geology. So that is very exciting. And the last thing, the thing I will end on before I turn things over to Ryan is last night was an example of creating that bond, strengthening the bond between the board and the foundation board. I'm open to suggestions. If you want to do other things, please let us know. We'll make the arrangements, right? If you have a great idea for that. All that said, since we are utilizing on the foundation side, we're utilizing this first batch of endowment income in full to make sure that the Young Explorer Center is operational. So that's where that's going to go. The budget that Lila has laid out and we've approved, as well as the projected funds that we will get over a full year. So we're talking approximately June of next year. That will all be dedicated to Young Explorer Center. But if the projections hold true, and you don't know, I mean, it is the stock market after all, but if the projections remain true, we should overshoot what we need to open Young Explorer Center. That should provide the funding necessary to fully fund Petra, but that's going to the money we already have. The Hermes Foundation, for instance, has provided over the years money that is to be committed to the future display of Petra. And of course, we received some funds last night and some more are committed. So that is going to be the insurance to make sure that we can open up Petra following the Explorer Center. All that said, when all that's done, it is going to be part of the job of the Board of Trustees to determine what requests to make of the foundation. There's going to be a proposed budget based upon a 5% spending rule. Ryan, what's the projected number right now? 5% roughly.
Yeah, it'll be 5% with anything that's generated over that to be reinvested for further growth. So,
and it'll be what about
around 300,000?
Yeah, it'll be around $300,000 that and staff, of course, can provide many suggestions, right? But it'll be up to the board to make that official request so that we will have the transfer from the foundation to the museum for spending where needed. Sometimes there's strategic reasons to not transfer those funds over to spend directly through the foundation. Sometimes we can do things more budgetarily responsible. That is, we're using vendors that or maybe are not state approved, but we can certainly save a lot of money on it. So we'll be looking forward to doing that, and we'll prepare the board well in advance. But that's coming down the line. It'll be an exciting time. We've made requests to the foundation before. The Gene S. Adams Education Pavilion out back is one of those requests and whatnot. But to have this regular commitment from the foundation and the interaction, and I think that's why an event like last night was so important, so that way everyone gets to know one another and develop a sense of not just camaraderie but trust, right? So I'm going to turn things over to Ryan for presentation on the advanced report.
So I revised my notes because a lot of things that we touched on, but big picture, just overall referencing the advanced report. So strong revenue, both on the museum side and foundation side. So for our perspective, these are pretty much interchangeable. They all impact the museum and make things possible that, mission-based programs. Also visitation, so you can see the steady growth. We're seeing that, post-pandemic, it's about 5% every year. So that's generated by not only festivals, but just everyday visitation. So we're seeing strong crowds, just on random days, random Tuesdays and Thursdays, whatever it might be. So a lot of what we do contributes to that, but that's hopefully continue that trend going forward. Recently we had our successful Dino Festival, like was mentioned, of course, around 4,000 people. We did have record combined revenue for festivals. So that's great. But even more importantly, we saw over 1,000 participants through the Museums for All program. So that's a program where folks can show their EBT card for receive free admission. And that's underwritten by Carter Bank, Hooker Furnishings, and then the Community Foundation, Circle Western Virginia, which is the area community foundation. So very strong. Ticks the boxes of the supporters. It's doing something great for the community, for an underserved audience, but also getting their name out there. It's very positive program. So really proud of that.
So I don't mean to interrupt, but mention Brightspeed, right? That was new. They
wrote. Sorry, I was trying to remember. Yeah. So Brightspeed is a really fairly new partner, but really excited and very involved, and they want to know exactly what's on their benefit list. So a few things they did were we selected a random family each day. So we chose the 250th family to time the 250 with Dino Fest, right? Dino Fest. So with that, they got through. Oh, actually, Reptile Festival too did it.
That's right.
So we had a Brightspeed sign printed. We pulled the startled family on the line. So we got the permission to do a social media post, but they were very excited, very thankful. Brightspeed loved it. So they're very hands-on, very creative. Also, we gave out coloring books. So they were Brightspeed coloring books. People loved them. Kids of all ages, like they have teenagers grabbing them. So very exciting, and they're looking forward to doing more creative things with Bones and Booze and other festivals. So.
And we had volunteers from Carter Bank Who also, it's right, actually underwrite, partially underwrite, the Museums for All program. And so we had a bunch of Carter Bank employees around for Dino Fest, covering tables.
Yeah, so we're trying to work with different partners. Some like Brightspeed are very involved. They want to be there. They want to be on site. Others just, want their name on things and I don't want to say leave us alone, but it's more hands off. So we try to tailor that, figure out what companies care about. It's very positive there. A lot of grants, partnerships and process. So everything from, like we talked about, Museums for All, but also festivals, homeschool science and engineering. So Carter Bank is helping provide support for that. So that's very exciting. And then just working with curators on different, research grants, whether it's NSF or it used to be IMLS, but attending there. So we're always, foundation, myself as the foundation liaison, working with different departments to hopefully provide support. Yeah, so upcoming, we have a ton of events. It's all listed on the advancement report, but big picture, Bones and Booze, it's October 24th. And then we have Reptile Festival in April, and then next Dino Festival, the first in July. As far as exhibits, just touch base on that really briefly. Current exhibit, Age of Dinosaurs, officially closed July 26th, but we control the schedule. It's our exhibit, and then within that gallery, that'll become the Young Explorer Center. So what we're doing is taking our time, taking it down, so visitors are still able to access that for the next month or so. Following that, we have Waterways, which is a Smithsonian exhibit. That will be in the former library, which is the future special exhibit gallery. That'll be the first time that'll be for exhibits. That'll be open from August 29th, which is a public opening, but we have an August 27th members and supporters reception through November. So after that, starting in 2027, we have a Birds of Virginia, which is a working title exhibit that'll be for all of 2027. And that's going to be an in-house developed exhibit. Lila's heading that up and working with curators, Christy and her team. So it's very exciting. So a lot of exhibit projects, and Joe mentioned, of course, the Mariel's Young Explorer Center next July, and then the Hooker Furnishings Petro exhibit, tentatively October, but obviously a lot of variables. So happy to answer any questions.
So I appreciate that you put in the science talks. I just wanted to highlight that as well from the Wayne Theater. We'll be starting off a new season in September 8th, and it's on your list there. Our first speaker is Katie McVicker, who is with Quails Forever, and she'll be talking about northern bobwhite quail and managing land for wildlife. And we hold these monthly, every second Tuesday in the evening at 7 p.m. at the Wayne Theater in downtown Waynesboro. They're free for the public, so it's a pay what you will opportunity. And they've been a great partner, and I think we're in our 10th year, if I'm not mistaken. 10 years. Doing these science talks, and they are also all in our YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to go back and revisit some of the talks we've had in the past, it's been a great resource for us for thinking about exhibits and so forth for the Branch Campus Museum.
Tom, it's a great example of, when we first started doing those programs, we would get a dozen, 15, 20 people. We were even so the theater didn't look so empty. We would go up to the art gallery and see people there because it just seems silly to put 15 people and 200, 300 people can fit in that theater, right? But now, I mean, it's it's not full, but I mean, it is well populated.
Last season, we had some of our record-breaking attendances in the neighborhood of 100, 150 people in the theater, and then we regularly have hundreds of views online as well.
It's just like I said, it's a great example of just because you only get a few participants in something, you have to give it a chance, right? And so we persevered through the small crowds to get to where we're at today.
And our curatorial staff have been great at supporting that. We've had a number of our curators speak. You're going to go Jackson Roberts going up. And a number of us in the room have also spoken. Christine May has given talk with others.
And if you follow the museum on Facebook, those are you can join live, and so regardless of where you are, and you feel like you're right there. So thanks for folks making sure that can happen.
That wouldn't happen too without, I mean, this is a different group of volunteers, but we have people volunteering their time up in Waynesboro that we just wouldn't be able to put the program on without their help. they increase our bandwidth essentially.
It's been a great
Catherine,
way for us to stay in front of the community too and keep reminding that this project is coming.
Yeah.
Catherine, did you have a question?
I did, and I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask it, but I'll put it out there. Just simply because ILMS, NSF, and other partnerships were part of this discussion. And that is at our last meeting, kind of along the lines of the dollars and cents discussions that Joe had brought up. We had talked about reaching out to DEQ in that partnership and seeing if they were going to be able to cover more of the collections materials. And I was just wondering if that had ever taken place. I just remember us talking about how much, kind of pennies and dollars of different equipment that the museum was paying for, and we thought that maybe there was a chance to get reimbursed for that.
Yeah, we're still kind of pulling materials together on our end, but it is on the agenda, Catherine. So we'll hopefully be reporting out on that in the relatively near future.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that back up as well. And thank you, Ryan, for that. Strategic plan is not just a staff plan, that's board plan. And I appreciate Joe's comments about the foundation. The foundation, their endowment hit the 1 million mark prior to the Mariel's gift. And I believe the endowment is right at 6.2 million. And I attend those meetings. They generally meet next back to back with us, and they were really open to not just putting the money away forever to never be seen, but being thoughtful in how it's invested and having that available funding, the 5%, ongoing, so that we can benefit from that now. Which really means a lot, and it allows the staff to do things and be creative. That said, we're not letting the Commonwealth off the hook for things that they should be supporting as well, which is not staff time, because this is a state museum. So just want to assure you that I have not lost sight of that. We also have great people, if you haven't noticed, like really great people that do great things here. They're awesome. That said, we are getting ready to move in closed session. Everyone here is welcome to come back for lunch. But if you don't come back, we understand it's Saturday and you have things to do and snakes to there's not all the days. So I'll take a motion. Well, actually, I'm gonna make it. I don't need a motion. I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Trustees of the Virginia Museum of Natural History enter closed session to discuss the assignment, employment, performance, and salary of a specific employee, particularly to conduct the annual performance review of the executive director, pursuant to the personnel exemption, Virginia Code 2.2-3711, A1, for consultation with legal counsel regarding the same pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711, A8. Is there a second? Second. All right, thank you, Will. And we'll have a voice vote, one by one, to enter into closed session.
Will,
Yes.
Tom,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
Christine, David,
Aye.
Carol is absent. Kathy,
Aye.
Lauren. Hi. Catherine McGuire.
I
Nathan is absent. Mindy. Aye. Myself, I, and Melanie.
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, no, I came out of the breakout. I just, you either in your breakout room or you in the meeting. And I did not end the meeting.
You did mine, and they're still stuck in the other thing, so.
Yeah, it didn't come out.
Yeah.
No return to them.
Yeah. that's-
Ah, he's letting it back. Okay.
I was looking at them too. And I was like,
So we're gonna, well,
good for him, rest few minutes, because we don't have a quorum.
I know, we never answered that, yeah.
So yeah, like a few thousand. Awesome. Plenty of insurance calendars. I feel bad. I feel the same about Easton last week. So I feel bad saying this. Like, and that's all. I was trying to act myself. Cut him out once later. Hey, that's the worst part was that was I let him go. Started like, oh. Why? I was trying to do it, you know, there. I was like, that's what that top off.
Last year, you came to a meeting, we were talking about the lantern fly killing it. Well, I didn't,
That too.
but I said, I'm saying, we don't kill anything. Kill that. So I was like, I was really trying to save you, but okay, so I have kind of a contribution, because I know they're not like right, so let's see if it's kills the tree.
I have my shirt collars like that.
Sarah, we got everybody back. All right, ready? Yes. Need to read our, whereas the Virginia Museum of Natural History Board of Trustees convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Virginia Code 2.2-3712 requires certification by this board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now be it resolved that the Virginia Museum of Natural History Board of Trustees hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Virginia law, and only such business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Virginia Museum of Natural History.
We'll certify by voice vote. Will,
Yes.
Tom,
Aye.
John,
Hi.
Dick,
Aye.
Christine, David,
Aye.
Dr. Carol Nash is absent. Kathy,
Aye.
Lauren,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Nathan Sanford is absent. Mindy, aye. Myself, aye. And Melanie. Thank you.
All right, so we have upcoming events have been shared. There's a wonderful, lovely graphic that would be in your board packet that would be great to print and stick on your fridge. Or you can just plug these in your calendar or write them down like I did. I look forward to seeing you at some of these as you can attend. Next board meeting for Richmond is potential, so those logistics will be sent as soon as it's confirmed, likely within 2 or 3 weeks. There's a lunch today. So thank you for that. Thank you to the staff that stayed and gave their Saturday for us. Are there any other matters that need to come before the board? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All right, all in favor? Everybody online, take care.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I'm trying to get in the camera, but I turned around. Go for that. Thank you.